In this and the following movie, we will see the final selectors. However, I do want to mention that these are not really selectors on their own. These modify some of our other selectors, because most commonly you're not going to see these associated by themselves. It will need to be coupled with other selectors. I will be referring to these as selectors for convenience sake, but just know that they're not really selectors like we've seen before. What these selectors allow us to do is target a specific state of an element or a specific context of an element and affect only that. So as you can imagine, these are going to give us some pretty interesting effects. So our pseudo-class selectors, they are mostly going to be based on user interaction, primarily mouse interaction. When these states are triggered, it's pretty much going to be up to the browser. So if or when these states occur will be up to how the browser is interpreting some various standards. Now, what states am I even talking about? Well, the most commonly used pseudo-classes are those dealing with our links. And if you've done any work with HTML, you probably are somewhat aware of the different states that links can be in. So we're going to find 4 different states that are possible with links. First of all, the link, and this is basically going to be the unvisited normal state of a link. Then the visited, and that's the state of a link after it has been visited. The hover is the state of a link that is being hovered over by the mouse. And lastly, we have active, and that's going to be the state of the link as it's being interacted with by someone. So if it's in the process of being clicked on or something else determined by the browser, that's what that state is. Now, we don't have to define all of these links, but the ones that we do want to use will have to be in that specific order. If we don't state that we want the link visited, hover, and active, it may be skipped by the browser. So there is an order that is important here. Now, according to specification, we will be able to use a couple of those pseudo-classes along with some other pseudo-classes for any other object. Some of these are really good things to do, such as using them with form elements, and other ones might not make a whole lot of sense to use. However, just because we don't think it makes a lot of sense doesn't mean that we can't use it. So anyway, what we have is we have our hover, which is somebody hovering over an item with a mouse. Active, an item has been activated. Focus, the mouse cursor has gone to focus on the element, or if you're tabbing through an HTML document, an object receives focus. First child, which is going to select the first piece of content inside of a tag. And then lang, which is specifying a language of the object. So let's go ahead here and let's take a look at how we can set up these pseudo classes. So I'm going to jump over here into our sandbox. And we're going to set up some rules to control the different link state colors. So we are talking about these guys here. Now, because we're talking about those, they already have some styles applied to them. I'm going to go ahead and comment out our link section here so that it's a little easier for us to see what is actually happening. So I'll save and refresh. We'll see that we now have the blue underline, which is pretty standard. So I'll jump back down to the bottom, and I will say a link, and I want these to be red. So do color red, and then I'll do a visited and do text decoration, line through, then I'll do a hover and set that up so it's yellow. And then lastly, I'll set up my A active. And I'll make that white. Go ahead and save that and refresh. And here we go. So if I hover over that, it turns yellow. And if I click and hold on that, it does turn white. I don't want to actually go there, but we see now that it's in this active state. We're not going to be able to see the visited state in this example because the files that these point to don't actually exist, so there's no way to visit that actual item. But if you did click on it, you would get a similar effect to what we see up here with our list items. So let's go ahead and take a look at another type of pseudo-class, which is the first child. So I'll go ahead and scroll up here and jump back into my code. And I'm going to set up a rule for our H1. I'll do H1 first child. And I'm going to introduce you to another property here. Now, of course, with the introduction of all of these different properties, I'm not really going into all of your options. I'm just showing you kind of how to use it and the various effects. So in this case, what this will do is it will take the font and make it so that we are using small caps throughout the word. So basically all lowercase letters will still be capitalized, but they'll just be a little bit smaller. So that's font-variant : small -caps. So I'll go ahead and save that and jump over, and whenever I refresh, we'll see welcome to the sandbox turn into all caps with the W and the S being larger than the other letters. So as you can see, all of the different pseudo classes are going to be pretty handy for us to define and work with different states and specific elements that might be part of the object we want to affect. And that wraps up this movie on pseudo classes.